Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the magic that happens behind the scenes of your favorite apps. We're talking about the automated journey your code takes from a developer's keyboard all the way to your screen.
I mean, have you ever really thought about that? You tap Update, and a few moments later, bam, new features are right there. Sometimes it just happens in the background without you doing a thing. There's no big shutdown, no complicated install process, it just works. Well, that smooth experience, that's the end result of a powerful automated assembly line for software.
But, it wasn't always this easy, not by a long shot. To really appreciate the magic, we first have to understand the mess it replaced.
Yeah. Not too long ago, releasing new software was a pretty nerve-wracking event. It was this long, manual checklist of steps, and every single step was a chance for something to go wrong. Someone could forget a step, copy the wrong file, you name it. This made deployments incredibly slow. We're talking maybe one new release every few months, and super risky. And if something broke, trying to go back to the old version was just chaos. It was stressful and absolutely packed with opportunities for human error.
All that pain led people to ask a really important question. What if we could build something better? What if we could have an automated factory for our code? A system that could take the raw code from a developer and just reliably test it, package it, and deliver it to users without all the drama.
And that idea, that's what brings us to the core philosophy behind this whole modern assembly line, CI/CD.
So, CI/CD stands for Continuous Integration and Continuous Delivery. Let's break that down because it's pretty simple. Continuous integration, or CI, that's all about teamwork. Imagine every developer on a team is working on a tiny piece of a huge jigsaw puzzle. CI is the practice of having everyone add their piece to the main puzzle like all the time. And every time a new piece is added, a robot automatically checks to make sure it fits perfectly and doesn't break anything. Then you've got continuous delivery, CD. That's the conveyor belt. Once all the tests pass, CD automatically packages up the whole puzzle and gets it ready to be shipped out to customers at a moment's notice.
So really, the whole point of CI/CD is to make software releases, well, boring. And I mean that in the best possible way. By automating everything, we find bugs almost instantly. We get rid of the chance for human mistakes, and we let developers get back to doing what they do best, building cool stuff for you, the user, way faster and with a lot more confidence. No more of those once-a-quarter releases. We're talking about being able to release new updates multiple times a day.
Okay, so let's follow a piece of code on its journey through this automated factory. The very first stop, the warehouse for all the raw materials, is the source code repository.
Now, in the AWS world, one of the main tools for this used to be AWS Code Commit. You can think of it like a private, super secure vault for an application source code. It uses a system called Git, which is kind of like a superpowered track changes for code, letting whole teams of developers work together, track every little change, and store their work safely in the cloud.
Now, here's a really important update you can see on the slide. AWS has actually changed its recommendation for new projects. They're now pointing people towards industry standards like GitHub instead of Code Commit. Now, if you're already using Code Commit, don't worry, it'll still work. But the key takeaway here isn't about one specific tool. It's about its job. Every single CI/CD pipeline starts with a central place for code. And whether that's Code Commit or GitHub, its role as the one source of truth is absolutely critical.
So, once our code is stored safely, it's time to head to the next station on the assembly line, quality control and assembly.
And this station is AWS CodeBuild. Its job is to take that raw source code and transform it into something real. It's a fully managed service, which is great because it means we don't have to worry about setting up or managing any servers. We just give it our code and tell it what to do. It compiles everything, runs a ton of automated tests to hunt for bugs, and if it all checks out, it spits out a neat, tidy package that's ready to go.
This slide really breaks it down perfectly. First, CodeBuild grabs the latest code from our repository, like GitHub. Second, it follows a set of instructions from a special file called buildspec.yaml. You can think of this file like a recipe, telling CodeBuild exactly how to mix all the ingredients and what tests to run to make sure it tastes right. And finally, it bundles up the finished product into something called a build artifact. This artifact is the clean, tested, packaged version of our app, all ready for the final step.
Okay, so we have our shiny, tested package. The last step in our factory is to get it out the door and into the hands of our users. This is the deployment stage. And for this, we use AWS CodeDeploy. This is our automated delivery truck.
It's a service designed specifically to take that build artifact and safely install it on our servers, whether they are virtual servers called EC2, serverless functions with Lambda, or containers managed by ECS. It handles all the tricky parts of updating our application in a safe and controlled way.
CodeDeploy has a couple of main strategies for doing this. The first is an in-place deployment. This is kind of like closing a shop for a few minutes to restock the shelves. The op is stopped, the new version is put in, and then it's started back up. It's simple, but it does mean a tiny bit of downtime. The second, more clever strategy is called blue/green. Here, instead of updating the old servers, we build a completely new, identical set of servers, the green environment, with the new code. Once we know it's working perfectly, we just flip a switch and send all the traffic from the old blue environment to the new green one. It's a really smart way to do a release with zero downtime.
So, we've seen all the individual stations, the code vault, the build station, and the delivery service. But what connects it all? What's the factory manager making sure everything happens in exactly the right order?
Well, that conductor is AWS CodePipeline. This is the service that maps out our entire release process from start to finish. It visualizes the complete journey and automates every single step, tying all the services we've talked about into one smooth, seamless process.
So let's put it all together one last time. A developer pushes a new feature to GitHub. CodePipeline sees this change and automatically kicks off the whole pipeline. It grabs the code and hands it over to CodeBuild. CodeBuild works its magic, compiling, testing, and packaging it into that build artifact. As soon as CodeBuild says all good, CodePipeline takes that artifact and passes it to CodeDeploy, which then safely releases the update to all of our users. The whole flow, from a developer's keyboard to the customer, is completely automated.
And that idea of an artifact is so important. Just like in a real factory where a car frame moves from one station to the next, in our pipeline, the code artifact is what gets passed between stages. This makes sure the entire process is consistent and we know exactly what's happening at every step.
So why does all of this matter? Well, it really comes down to three huge things. Speed. Companies can get new ideas and features out to their users in minutes, not months. Safety. All that automated testing catches bugs long before they can cause any real problems. And consistency. Every single release, whether it's a huge new feature or a tiny bug fix, follows the exact same proven process. It just works every single time.
By turning what used to be a chaotic, manual process into this predictable, automated assembly line, these tools have completely changed how we build software. They give creators the freedom to focus on what really matters, building amazing things. So, the only question left is, what will you build with it?